Woburn. We have the mayor sitting right next to me today. I feel very fortunate. It's not at all because we had a little glitch with internet access on this computer, but we're grateful to be here today. We're going to catch up on a whole bunch of important things that are happening across the city. And also we have fabulous guests who are going to talk about what's happening in one of our wards. We have city councilor joining us. And also we're going to talk about a really wonderfully important program, Meals on Wheels, and how you might want to get involved in that. So welcome everyone. Welcome, Mike.
Hi Samantha, how are you?
I'm excellent. I know you just came from the cold. Where do you want to let folks know what you were doing out there?
I went up to the high school to extend my best wishes to the Woburn High girls basketball team as they head into UMass Boston for their playoff game. They're all excited. They should be in traffic right now heading that way, and we're wishing the best for them. I told them that they've already made us proud the way they conduct themselves and the way they performed all season. Certainly hoping for the win tonight, but all in all, very proud of their efforts, proud of their coach, the entire team. We should know later on tonight how they made out.
I love it. Well, we're cheering them on and excited to see how the game ends up. One of the things that we talk about winning, we had a wonderful grant that was awarded to us. We got just shy of $1 million towards our water treatment plant. And I thought it would be a great opportunity if you talk a little bit about what that was for and how we received that.
Sure. So this is assistance with our PFAS water treatment upgrades that we've been working on for a while now. We got the word late last week from Congresswoman Catherine Clark's office and Senator Markey's office that we were going to get this $959,000, which will help us with our efforts. As folks probably know, it's $22 million to build this new water treatment plant. This will help. We've also got some 0 to low interest loans as well. But yeah, this was definitely a shot in the arm. Love to give the credit to those who worked so hard to get us this money, led by former Mayor Scott Galvin, the team at Water Department, City Engineer's Office, DPW, Auditor's Office. It really was a true team effort to get this money. And as you say, it's a little shy of $1 million. It's going to help us with our efforts. So we extend our gratitude to all those folks that made that happen.
Yeah, these things aren't easy and they take a long time. So we're fortunate to have all the support from the team that did that. One of the things that we're looking at is, although today does not feel like we're near spring at all, it is cold and windy. We are getting close to spring, and that means we're getting close to paving roads. And while I know that the paving schedule is not yet available, I thought it'd be helpful for our residents to talk a little bit about the process that we're going through as a city to prioritize and determine which roads will get paved this spring.
Right. So it's actually a pretty scientific process. It starts with a road pavement consultant who does an inventory and survey of the roads in the city. Each roadway is given a grade, and then there's a priority list established, and there's a bit of common sense and experience on the part of the DPW and the engineer's office, applying that common sense to the data to make sure that it does match our reality. We also take a look at upcoming and pending projects. Obviously, if National Grid or Eversource is planning on opening up a roadway anytime soon for some work, we wouldn't want to go ahead and pave that, have it ripped up again right afterwards. So those are the various steps that involve in coming up with the list of roadways to be paved for a particular season. We are, I'd say, about a third of the way through that now. We should, maybe within the next month, we'll have that list developed. Obviously, there's some last minute additions and subtractions as new information comes in, but I expect we'll have our list finalized by late spring, ready to go.
Great, excellent. Thank you for that. One of the things that's been in the news, not Woburn specifically, but around the state, is MBTA zoning with the goal of creating more housing inventory across the state. And Woburn had, sort of shared some thoughts quite a while back when those zoning requirements first came into being. Now that we have yourself in a new position and a lot of time has passed and the MBTA zoning rules have advanced and things, wanted to get a sense from you where Woburn, how our view is on those and what our participation in that process will look like. I mean, we don't really have much of a choice. It is law.
Yeah. So when this law first came out a few years ago, the way it was explained and the way it was rolled out was that there would be a certain amount of state grant funding tied to communities rezoning around MBTA stations and locations. In other words, you were encouraged as a community to rezone to allow additional multifamily housing in the area of transportation hubs. But if you didn't wish to or didn't comply, the penalty would be a relatively small amount of optional state grant funding. So several communities, they did the evaluation, they weighed the pluses and minuses, and made a determination that they would forego some of that state funding to maintain the zoning that they had. That was the position Woburn took initially. As the law rolled out and the meat was put on the bones in terms of the regulations, it became a little more forceful and a little less optional, to the point where many communities changed their tune essentially, because if you did not comply with that new MBTA communities law, you ran the risk of losing even more funding. And under the change in administration at the State House, the new Attorney General made some forceful comments about lawsuits if you didn't comply. So what started as pretty much an optional program, at least at first blush, has morphed into a mandatory compliance situation. So as I said, Woburn initially took the position that we would be willing to forego some of that funding to maintain control over our zoning, as did many communities. When the situation changed and when it became more of a compliance matter, we notified the state that we would in fact be complying. The next steps in compliance would be to have a proposed ordinance, a zoning change that meets the standard that the MBTA has set out, basically identifying certain location in the community where we would by right allow multi-family housing to the tune of approximately 2,500 additional multifamily units. So we are in the process right now of forming the committee and gathering the folks together to write that proposed zoning ordinance that we would then submit to the state and get their blessing and be in compliance. Right now, we're in a bit of a shelter where we can do our work and we're not in jeopardy of losing anything just yet. So I expect our plan will be produced and submitted by the end of the year, which is the deadline.
Thank you for that update. I think there's definitely some concern in the community overall about where this will happen. That's all part of the planning process that we're going through to make sure to mitigate any risk that it introduces.
Right.
Excellent. Lastly, before I let you go, we introduce our next guest. I want to talk a little bit about community engagement overall. There was a new Woburn Neighborhood Association. Hopefully I'm getting their name correctly. And they came in the other day. We had a really great conversation about how to help expand the number of people who participate in our government. We know that's been important, Mike, to your administration and part of what we want to do in the city. And there's a few things that are coming up that are great opportunities for people to get involved. I thought we'd just give you a chance to sort of talk about some of those.
Sure, there's a few, and all these can be found on the city's website. When we're aware of something that a private entity or a group is doing that can benefit the city, we try to share that as well. There is a recycling event happening this Saturday morning here at City Hall for bulbs, batteries, and tires. We do this a few times a year, and it's always a great success. So if you have any of those items you're looking to get rid of, by all means, come down to City Hall parking lot on Saturday morning. Another item we have coming up is a public meeting to discuss the new the Woburn Bikeway. That's going to be on the 19th at the library. Again, this is all on the city website. And then that same night at City Council, there's a discussion regarding a proposed mural program here in the city. So folks have the opportunity to weigh in their thoughts on whether and where and when murals might be coming to Woburn. And then further out, there's a few more events in early May is Conservation Day. And there's also the community yard sale that day. So there's a lot happening. I would urge people to continue to check the city website on a frequent basis because things are changing quite a bit. And if you have an event that you think can benefit the city, by all means, share it with us and we will broadcast it out to generate more attention.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. There is a lot happening across the city. We're very excited about it. Next up, I'd love to introduce Bill Pappalardo. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you, Samantha. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you giving me a time slot on the show.
Oh my goodness, we wouldn't think otherwise. So you've now been Ward 2 City Councilor for a few weeks. What have you learned in that time?
Well, I just checked my calendar this morning, and I've now been in this position for 10 weeks. I'm just finished my 10th week. I think Mayor Concannon is probably in the same boat with his new role. And things move pretty quickly. There's a lot going on here. I've learned a lot. I still have a lot to learn as I, get into more and different things. I have learned that there's an awful lot of activity going on, not only just in my ward, but across the city. I mean, there's a lot of things happening in there. I get a lot of constituent calls for many, many, many different topics, wide-ranging things, smaller things, and some larger things. I do know that everybody that calls in is absolutely well-intentioned, and I as I look at these requests that come in, I think about if that were happening in my backyard, how would I react to it? And more times than not, I would react exactly like the calls the residents are asking. They have a lot of pride in the city of Woburn. They want to see things done right, and I think that it's a great process. It's a lot. There's more hands-on than I thought there was from this standpoint, but I think it's a great process.
Well, we're grateful for your participation.
Issues, that all issues can't be addressed to the what the constituents would like them to be. So we do our best to work across the departments, and I will say, as I work through the departments, they've been fabulous to work with, across from the DPW to the planning boards to the engineering department, all across the board, A+ across the board. I've had great success working with them. But that being said, you don't always get the desired results that people are looking for, and it's tough to go back and tell people, well, we looked at it, we can do this and this, but we can't do that. So it's my job too to bring back, communicate back the news, good, bad, or indifferent. And so all of that stuff is in the realm of what this job is, and many, many, many more things than that. But those are just the tip of the iceberg of what I've been involved with.
Yeah, it is a busy, and I there's some themes I'm sure we see quite often that come up, but what are some things that are happening specifically in Ward 2 that you wanted to share with us?
So Ward 2, there's a few different things happening. So there's the famed Marcy Street development that's happening over that it borders the Cummings Industrial Park, and there's one lot over there that that they're trying to they subdivided it. There's one lot left there that they want to build on, and there's been a lot of discussion between the neighbors, between Cummings Properties, between the planning board, the zoning board, and there's all different things that are happening in there. I think that we're now at a point where we're getting to a place where people are getting comfortable with where it looks like it's heading. So there's not a lot of situations that end like that. And this is a really good situation where everybody's worked together really well to come to a good solution. And we're not quite there yet. We still have a couple of hurdles to get over. There's a planning board meeting tomorrow night, and then there's a zoning board meeting in April, early April, and hopefully we get to a point where everybody's happy with the end result. So that's one thing. There's a Hannaford Dumas addition that's going on. That's down on Pond Street, and they're asking to add a 2-story appendix to the building. It's a growing company. They do a really good business down there. I've walked a lot. I've met the owners down there, and this is another situation where the neighbors have voiced some concerns over the big trucks going into that area, and we're working with Hannaford and Dumas to make sure that as part of their plan for building, we're able to kind of work in some of the concerns that the neighbors have and have them addressed as quickly as the buildings happen. And then most recently, and I've talked to Mayor Concannon just briefly about this, there's been at the intersection of Green and Nashua Street, there's been a lot of traffic concerns there, traffic accidents and things like that. So we're just kind of at the infancy stages of that, but we're looking into what different options can we apply to make it safer for the people that live there, safer for the people that drive there, and safer for the people that are walking the streets there. So those are kind of the biggest things that are happening in my ward and in the 10 weeks that I've been on the job. So it's been fast and furious, but it's been really, from my standpoint, really enjoyable to engage with the folks and try to help it any way that I can.
Well, we're grateful for your service because we know that it is not a job that is constrained by certain hours and certain days, and that you're busy all the time. Before I let you go, you as well as our audience knows we have a Kindness Day coming up on the 20th of March. We have a full schedule of events. Want to share with us anything that you might be specifically doing that day? We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, well, first off, I will tell you that this is kind of a wonderful day and a great event. I think this is really wonderful for the city. It bonds people together and it's very, very helpful to everybody. I'll be participating in a lot of the events. I've read through it. It starts at, I think, 9 o'clock in the morning, maybe even earlier than that, and it runs through the night. But a couple of events that I'll highlight that caught my attention around. If you like to donate, there's a social concern. They're taking non-perishables donations, and then the North Church, there's a sock donation. So those are two really good things that are out there. There's going to be a fashion show at New Horizons that I'm excited about. That should be cool. Yeah. And then the Woburn Public Library has a screening of Pay It Forward, which I'm excited to participate in as well. So there's a ton of events in there. I just highlighted a few of them, but those are the ones that jumped out at me, the things I'd like to get involved with. But as I review it more and more, I'll continue to figure out what makes the most sense for me.
I love it. Thank you for pointing out some of those. I actually dropped off the containers for the social concern donations that are in the fire stations that you mentioned as one of the activities today. So they'll be out and about and people can start dropping off things soon. So thank you so much, Bill, for joining us and giving us an update on Ward 2. Okay, thank you very much. And thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you. Next up, I'd like to welcome Yuen, who's here with Minuteman Senior Services, who's also participating in Kindness Day. So we're grateful to have you there. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Hi, Samantha, and hi, Mayor. Thank you so much for giving me the airtime. My name is Yuen. I'm the volunteer coordinator at Minuteman Senior Services. I manage the volunteer recruiting, onboarding, offboarding, not the part I like, but annual training and recognition. I also organize volunteer appreciation events. Sorry, the sun is showing. And coordinate any administrative and communication related to volunteers.
So a part of the services that are offered that is a really instrumental program in our community is Meals on Wheels. Tell us a little bit about what the Meals on Wheels program is all about.
Yes, so basically Meals on Wheels programs, we deliver hundreds of thousands of meals each year. And Minuteman for over 45 years has provided services to older adults, people with disability, and their family caregivers with information and assistance they need so that they can, age in place in the community. It's very important to them. In particularly with the Meals on Wheels program, they have received, so many meals. I'm sorry, just lost my place.
Okay.
So we also provide a lot of care management service, in-home assistance, caregiver support, option counseling, elder protective services as well. The Meals on Wheels drivers start the day by stopping by at our meal site at Woburn Senior Center, and they pick up the meals and then deliver them to the consumers on their route. Sometimes the route could be about 10 to 15 stops. And then it's not just a meal deliver. They also do a safety check and, a friendly visit. So it's more than just a meal.
It is more than just a meal. It's a smile and a chat. It may be the only connection those folks have with someone else that day. So we're grateful for that. We're going to talk to one of your volunteer drivers in just a minute, but before we do that, about how many people in Woburn do we serve the meals specifically today?
Well, today about 143 meals were delivered just today, and we deliver 5 days a week, and we have 16 towns in our catchment area. So many meals, but
yeah, really important nourishment. I'd like to welcome Carol to join our conversation. Carol is a friend of Woburn and does lots of things in our community. And one of the things, Carol, that you're involved with is delivering meals as part of the Meals on Wheels program. Tell us a little bit about your experience in doing that and why you continue to stay a volunteer.
Well, I've been doing it for 15 years. My husband joined me doing it 5 years ago, so we're the tag team. It's a great thing for me because we can have fun together and quality time that doesn't cost us anything. So that's great. I love my little old ladies and a few little old men. I'm actually friends with some of them. And others, I mean, I've obviously, for HIPAA reasons, I can't disclose too much about them, but I really care about them. And I know that they care about having one of us come in, and it does brighten their day. So yeah, I'm happy to be doing it.
I think it's a really rewarding experience, but I do think that sometimes people are a little afraid of the commitment required in order to do this well.
Minimal.
So tell us a little bit about what the actual reality is.
The reality is you could choose how many days you want to volunteer. I can only spare 1 day a week. It's a magic day, but it's the only one I can spare. And I'm out there maybe 2 hours at the most. I mean, it's just, unless I take on a second route, which I sometimes do. If they're short a driver, we'll pick up the second route, but otherwise it's less than 2 hours. And, that's a lot of bang for your buck. I really
appreciate it. It's a really tangible benefit. I love that the pickup is right in Woburn. And I'm assuming, Carol, that your route is in Woburn. And so you're not driving terribly far in those 2 hours, correct?
Yeah, I think there was one time when we kissed the edge of Winchester, but that was only once in 15 years. So I'm very good at finding my way around Woburn now.
My husband plowed at one point a few years ago, and so every time we drive somewhere, he knows all these roads and things that I rarely travel on, and so he's my built-in GPS, and it sounds like you have a similar experience.
Yeah,
it's wonderful. Carol, thank you for the work that you're doing and for sharing that experience with us. Yuen, before I let you go, you touched a little bit about Minuteman Senior Services overall, but maybe you could talk a little bit about the integration we have with our senior center and the work that you do there overall, in addition to the Meals on Wheels volunteers.
Sure, yes. So not only we do all these services I mentioned earlier, but other programs that rely heavily on our volunteers are like money management, nursing home ombudsman, health benefit counseling, healthy living programs, social connections, and of course, last and not least, the Meals on Wheels program. So we have the health benefit counselors stationed at the senior center. We also have, our healthy living program workshops. They're typically being held at the senior center. So we have a very close partnership with the COA, the Council on Aging. We actually held our volunteer group appreciation ice cream social at the senior center last year. So they've been wonderful, letting us use that place. So yeah, it's definitely a collaboration in this.
It's wonderful. And as part of Kindness Day, you will be at the senior center. There's a sing-along happening. There's some other lovely messages that are going to be displayed in the area. And if anyone is interested in learning more about volunteering for the Meals on Wheels program or other ways that they can help, that is a perfect day to stop on by and say hello in person and learn more about it.
That's right. Yeah, we'll be at the senior center from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And we have plenty of volunteer opportunity for people who wants to give back to their community. So, and just like what Cheryl said, volunteers just enjoy the experience and, find satisfaction in what they do and by giving back. And it makes such a huge difference in people's lives, just for like a couple hours a week, or maybe 8 hours a month. So
that's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. And Woburn, as
Thank
always.
you. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you were able to join us. Woburn, as always, please continue to take good care of each other.